I'm just going to not eat in front of you. Well, I'm tuned in.
Okay, no worries. Well, thank you everyone who was able to join our PLC today. Again, we're Region 3. So the State of Oregon's Library Association is broken down into 7 different regions. And I just came on as the regional rep this past year. And most of the folks that are in the call today are from Lane County. And we have special guests today, Dennis Mathew, who's an amazing author, who is also a guest author at our OASL statewide library conference this past October. And then it's a pleasure to meet Nicole Butler, who is the current Oregon Teacher Librarian of the Year. And we're going to talk about some amazing collaboration ideas. So I will just turn the floor over to Dennis and Nicole. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, Nicole, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm going to introduce myself in my Dani language. Chela, Shaushi, Nicole Butler-Hooten, Ho'owanti. I just said hi, my name is Nicole Butler-Hooten. How are you? I hope you're well today. I'm a member of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz of Oregon, which is about 10 minutes from Newport. Our reservation, our ancestral land, is farther south near Brookings, Oregon. I'm also a member of the San Carlos Apache Tribe of Arizona. I've been a second grade teacher in Bethel School District for 15 years. And this year I've stepped out of the classroom to be an instructional coach. I'm so excited to partner with Dennis in bringing him to Bethel schools and hopefully sharing him with other Lane County schools. We'll come to Florence and they can see the beautiful Oregon coast. And I grew up in Reedsport, so I'm not very far. My stomping grounds are just about 20 minutes from Florence, Dennis, south of Florence. So I'm excited to really, equity and our mindsets and our shifts for students and making sure that they have culturally relevant materials is always on my heart as an educator. And so when I met Dennis, being a published author, having so much experience in the schools, and then also being a man of color, I think this is so important to strengthen the presence and power of our communities. And so bringing him out to Oregon, I think will be really meaningful for our students if we can get his books in the hands of every student in my district and hopefully possibly in yours. We want to see how we can partner. We're thinking the 3 days prior to spring break is, I think, when we're hoping for. I have a meeting with Lane ESD and the Western Regional Educators Network to see if we can. He's so humble. He said, no, you don't have to pay my way out here. But of course, that's something that we would love to do. So we're going to reach out to Ren and Lane ESD and see how we can partner with them as a change idea to bring Dennis out here. And so it'd be great to partner with some of you if you'd also like to be able to have the opportunity to, if anything, even if it wasn't an author visit to your school, just to get books in the hands of every child at your current schools. So, Dennis, it's been a delight to work with you. I've only known you a couple months, but I feel like we're like old friends. And I'll turn it over to you, Dennis.
Yeah, so I feel with this whole, my author journey only started about 2.5 years ago, but for me, it's much bigger than the books. I think it's about changing a narrative in across the landscape of our educational system. And for me to have any small part in that is just an honor and a divine calling, no doubt. The other day I was just kind of pinching myself and I don't know if you guys ever talk out loud to yourselves, but the other day I was just I was kind of retracing my steps, to kind of practice gratitude, if you will. I was kind of retracing the last 2.5 years for myself, and I was just like, am I operating in my calling? Is this it? Because I had that moment because, I was one day I'm talking to the Oregon State Teacher of the Year for 2021. The day before I was talking to the Virginia State Teacher of the Year for 2021. And all of these gentlemen and women, ladies had just been to DC and seen President Biden and the First Lady. And I felt like I was having conversation with amazing people like Jennifer, and sometimes I just have to pinch myself and ask myself, is this really happening? Because I'm a speech therapist in a little town named Mustang, Oklahoma, and the books have kind of kicked open big gates for me, if you will. And I'm having dialogue every day with great minds like yourself, to the point where When I reach out to educators using social media, I feel like I'm connecting with siblings and in a common cause, which is to bring wonder and imagination and magic into the minds of our children, our leaders for tomorrow. I often tell my students, you guys are my future. You guys are our future. When I sit here and teach you guys, the future of this nation, this county, this town rests in your hands. So when your teachers in this building pour into you, it's because we're trying to entrust our tomorrows to you. So, this is bigger than a job. It's bigger than getting, writing some books and selling some books. It's a bigger mission. And it's just an honor to have a small part in that. I've been wanting to come to Oregon from day one. So 2019 is when Bello came out, and I've been since wanting to come to Oregon. For one reason selfish, I've never been to Oregon. My closest, connection to Oregon is the show Frasier. Because I know it's so random because Frasier is set up in Seattle, and so that's my but it's my favorite show. So my wife and I have been diehard fans of Frasier, and so Seattle is in Oregon, right? Correct.
Washington.
No, Washington. Okay, where do you go? I don't even know my geography. West Coast. Maybe that's what I'm talking.
Close enough.
West Coast.
It's pretty close. And hey, my husband and I are both, we love Frasier too.
Okay, yeah. So Seattle. So maybe West Coast is what I was thinking. I was just like, I want to come. I want to come to the West Coast, and so Oregon was one state that was on my mind. And for the last 2.5 years, I've been trying to make connections with educators from Oregon, and it never panned out. And sure enough, back to back, I connected with Jennifer McKenzie and then Nicole Butler, and a few other conversations started popping up from the Oregon region. And I started asking myself, well, maybe the time has come that this is finally meant to happen. And then Nicole, like I was just telling Jennifer before she popped on, has just been this waymaker, so to speak. And in a sense that when I talk to Nicole's such a big dreamer that she just thinks much bigger than, yes, we would love to have you come to our school. Let's have you come to our district. Let's have you come to our region. And so, I see you, Amy. Thank you. So I'm just so honored to be teaming up with Nicole. And I was like, well, if we're if Nicole and I are trying to get me out to Bethel schools in that area of Oregon, well, why not bring Jennifer into the mix as well and make it as big of a partnership as possible? I'm hoping that I can come there 14th through the 18th of March of next year, and let's kind of, brainstorm what that scheduling may look like. Wherever, so I've got 3 books published. I have a music album published. Typically what I do is when I go to schools, I put on these shows that involve my music. I sing songs, teach kids songs. All of my songs go with the messages of my books. They're all very SEL integrated, very growth mindset integrated. So, picture, just imagine kids singing, your gyms like resounding with song and your cafeterias resounding with song. That's what my in-person virtual visits are like. And then obviously there is the reading of the book, and it's not just the reading of the book, it's the animated presentation of my books. Plus I spend a lot of time talking about how Mr. Mathew, the independent author, takes a concept and sees it through and makes it a book. And a lot of that is more than me talking. It's a lot of visual aids. There's videos of, time-lapse videos of my illustrators developing the characters on my books. There's pencil sketches of my characters. There's video from India, China of my books being printed. There's literally video of freight trucks pulling up to my house with thousands of my books. And I think for our children who kind of, because of where they are developmentally, they have a hard time thinking outside of their zip code, right? Outside of the here and now. And to show our children that when your teachers, ask you to practice writing in your classroom, there is a real world implication to that. It is very possible that you could one day become an independent author or a published author through a big publishing company. And you might be able to actually end up supporting your family because of your writing. And so to make that come full circle for, the student, attending the school is just a big part of my mission. And I've had many children come up to me or have teachers reach out to me and say, so-and-so is so passionate about writing, they want to get their book published. And I try to impart the message that in 2021, you can actually be an elementary school student and get published. It is so possible because of all the resources we have available. In the 2.5 years that I've worked with schools, I've mobilized some 26,000 books between my 3 titles. That's books in the hands of children in public schools. That's a big part of my mission, putting a book in the hand of a child, especially kiddos in rural communities, whose parents, because of COVID, are short in income or they can't afford a $15 to $25 book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or whatever. What I do is I develop rapport and relationships with schools that then creatively think about how to tap into their state allocated and federal allocated funds, or SEL funds, ESSER funds, library funds, community engagement funds, all of those monies that you have to use up anyways within the academic year. And we kind of use those funds to purchase books at very low price points for kiddos that otherwise would have to spend $15, $25 to buy a book. So I can tell you, like with Nicole and the other meeting that I had the other day, I was just sharing with them the story of how sometimes an elementary school with 1,000 kids will buy 1,000 copies of one of my books, and each book is given to them at $5 a copy. Which is stupid cheap, right? And that's all they pay. They pay that $5 per book, and then they don't pay shipping on top of that. They don't pay me for presentation time, nothing. So when I do these virtual visits, what has been happening over the last year and a half, I want to say some 85 to 90 virtual visits done in the last year and plus. What schools do is when they buy a book for every child, they get a virtual assembly for every grade level. And, so they kind of like an author would schedule a book tour, books get a series of virtual assemblies. And each assembly is 45 minutes to an hour and 15. So I've taken the concept of an in-person day visit and we brought it online. Because if I was at your school in person and you were putting a book in the hand of every child, you would have me for the half day or the entire day or whatever, and I would meet with every grade level, and each grade level would get 45 minutes to, whatever your daily scheduling allowed. And that includes my music, my read-alouds, the in-depth look at the process of making a book, the Q&A, all of that jazz. And on the virtuals, I've also been having guest presenters come on. So like Bello, the cello is the focus. I've always had a cellist stream in from either New York or Oklahoma City or Georgia, wherever. Interesting fact, I've built connections with a small community of cellists from different parts of the country. Who knew, right? So, but yeah, it's all about like, what does the local school need? What is the community that I'm presenting to needing in terms of enrichment, and then kind of brainstorming and looking how I can fill that need. That's what it's all about. And I always say I'm not some diva author that's coming. And even when Nicole's team was like, "We'll pay your way here," I was like, let's hold off. I've got, I by the grace of God, I've racked up a lot of points on my Southwest card. So when I travel, I try to keep those expenses out. I try to not burden the school district with those expenses, but Nicole's team was gracious enough to offer that. And but that's not the priority here. I can stay at a decent hotel and eat McChickens every day, and I'll be all right. But my heart is putting books in the hands of kids. The other day when Nicole said, I asked her the question, which do you like, Bello or How Grizzly Found Gratitude? And she said something that I think every author dreams to hear. She said, my son has both of your books on his nightstand. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's priceless. 2.5 years ago, that was not on my radar. I was just doing my speech therapy deal. And this has kind of bloomed into something wonderful. With that, I will shut up because I can keep talking forever. And again, apologies for getting Seattle and the map and Oregon and Washington all wrong. I promise after I make it out there, I'll have a better idea.
No, it's all good. I am super excited. I'm sorry, I'm jumping in right away because I want you in Sayusla. And how, Nicole, are we going to coordinate if he pops around? Like, are you going to come up with a schedule and we can sign up for?
I would say, Nicole, what I'm thinking is, I think you both would be great. If Jennifer, Nicole, and I kind of tag team on that, that'd be a great starting point where, Jen, you could talk to your librarians and see who wants what date. Nicole could talk to Bethel and see that's just an idea, who wants what date. But Nicole, what do you think? You have something to say. Go ahead.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to echo is that, we have 5 elementary schools, we have 2 K-8, so we were thinking that that would be a total of 2 days. It sounds like we're hoping that he'll be here for 4 days. So I was thinking we could coordinate those other 2 days with Sayusla, because that's like a full day trip down there. And then...
Well, yeah, if you come out to the coast, we have to do some coastal things too. Like I have a one-wheel, and I would love to take you to the beach to try one-wheeling. Because you may not have done that before.
Well, my wife and I are considering. I mean, we're talking about this pretty seriously, to the point where we're like, we might even just bring a babysitter with us because we have a toddler. So we're like, we'll just bring an extra friend along, so that way, if I'm visiting schools, there's at least 2 people. Because our toddler is, she is 2 going on 16. She is a busybody. She loves Dada's books. She's all about books. She loves it. So I mean, that's how we're there. We're like, our minds are there, and obviously my wife will take off from work and things like that. And we would love to just come and be with you guys. So.
And I was just going to say, Jennifer, so we're meeting next Tuesday, I believe. Monday, Tuesday. And we're going to talk to Ren and Lane ESD, and then we're going to set up a schedule, is what we thought. And then we're going to talk to Dennis. So maybe if we could make a plan to meet or to talk the following week, the week of the 15th or the 19th, if you meet every Friday.
Yeah.
So maybe the 19th we could meet to discuss.
How many schools do you have in the Sayusla? How many? So typically I present grades pre-K through 6, ideally pre-K through 5. Nicole Honor just asked if you'd include her in that meeting.
Honor works with the ESD, Nicole. Honor Pastrell is our Lane ESD teacher librarian. And Sayusla's tiny. We're only 1,500 kids total. We have 3 buildings, elementary, middle, high school. They're all down the same road.
It's just one elementary?
One elementary,
so that's
one middle
easy.
School, one high school.
That's easy to be at for a whole day. Amy, where are you?
So Eugene and Bethel are neighbors. Like, we're right next to each other. And we have 20 elementary schools. So I don't know, like if it sounds like your week is booked. It would be awesome to fit 1 or 2 schools that could really do some.
Maybe you could do a little hybrid too. Like maybe you could have some in person, and then to hit the whomever, like maybe you could offer 1 virtual session in addition to your
the thought. The reason I'm asking those questions is because to secure you guys the best book price. I would love to submit, like for example, I'm the author for Read Across Oklahoma. So I live in Oklahoma City. I'm the author, by the grace of God, I'm the author for Read Across Oklahoma for 2022. And the state placed an order for over 3,000 copies of my second book. So when I place one big order like that, I am then able to turn around and give the state a very affordable price point per book. So I wanted us to get an idea of how many students we're talking about between all schools involved, and between us we can know how many books go to what school and where. But for the printer I have overseas, if I can just submit one lump sum order, that will really lock in a very low rate. Because if I was going to go 1,000 books here, 1,200 there, 1,500 out, all separate orders, they're not able to consider it as one large total. And to save you money, see, most of the time when I submit a massive order, they ship the books to me first to Oklahoma City, and then I unpack and group them and ship them on freight and things like that nationwide. But if it's one massive order for the state of Oregon or where you guys are, I can just have them directly send it from China to you. So there's not a lot of like stopping points. Does that make sense? That'll also help us save some money. Yeah. So just some logistics to be thinking about down the road. So if we're thinking about March, you know, the turnaround time, they just finished the 3,000 whatever books. It took them, I want to say 11 to 12 days to print, and then it's a month to ship. Like the books are on water, on the seas for a month. Now, the other option is, if you guys are okay with it, we can go ahead and do the visits, and there can be an understanding that the books will arrive at some point, either before I get there or even after I get there. Does that make sense? Just to kind of ease some tension on timelines, and that way we're not under pressure to get our X's and O's finalized by January or whatever, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I'm just watching the clock. We have about 5 minutes before I have to go, which means I have to end the recording. You all can stay on and continue to talk without me. I'll just have to stop the recording then. So it sounds like we might reconvene does it work to reconvene during this time on Friday the 19th using this link?
It works for me.
I would love that, because I have to.
She's breaking up. You're breaking up,
This is
Nicole.
Nicole, and I would love that on the 19th to follow up, because I'll have some more times, date information.
Okay. I will send both Dennis and I'll add you to that calendar invite. It's the same Google Meet link. We use the same one over and over. And then we'll have one meeting in between the 19th, but anyone who was on this PLC, like, you can start letting that percolate. Do you want a visit from Dennis? Can your district support a visit from Dennis? I mean, because, like, honestly, Dennis, like, you'll drive by Kelly coming out. Well, you could drive by Kelly's district on your way out to Florence. And like Amy said, she's neighbors with Bethel. And Shanna, where are you at in the mix?
So I'm northeast of Springfield. We're our own little valley that kind of shoots off to the northeast. So he wouldn't be driving through my way unless he was incredibly lost.
Got it.
So I need clarification, because I'm like, just budget wise, like, if I have to pitch this to my supervisor, like, in reality, like, you'd probably just have time for a couple schools. And what's my budget here that I'm looking at?
So typically the shortest amount of time I've spent at a school is like a half day. And that's what I honestly would like. I'm not a big fan of have the entire school in the cafeteria when I'm like having to like, I like, you know, I love intimacy. Like I love intimate presentations, and by intimacy I mean like kids getting to like interact with me and ask questions. I love those kinds of sessions. So the most I've been able to do is, you know, like the least amount of time I've spent at a school is a half day. So even if we picked one or two schools and I was just spending a half day here and a half day there, again, in my mind, keep in mind, I don't know where all the schools are positioned, and so from the I would like to, let's say we end up with a roundabout number, say total of say 3,000, okay, for all of the kids in all of the schools that I'm going to for the state of Oregon. That's the order I would like to turn into my printer overseas. Now, does that mean I collect payments from all of you guys? Maybe that's what it means. The more schools we have on board, everybody benefits, because you you lock into a lower price. I know for a fact that when I was talking to Bethel, they were looking at, I want to say 1,600 books of, I don't know, maybe it's Grizzly or How Grizzly Found Gratitude or Bella, and I think the price point I had given them was like $4.75 a book, which is cheap. And we can stay at that rate. We can stay at that, south of $5, and just make the total bigger if you want. And I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you. The only, if you guys decide that you want the books there when I get there, like if you want the books in the hands of kids when I get there in March, that gives us a bit of a time crunch, a little bit, because we would have to turn that, or we would have to have our numbers finalized beginning of January or end of December. Like, you know what I mean? Because COVID has really delayed shipping timelines, so you want to keep all of that in mind. Now, if you guys are like, we don't care when the books get here, you just come here and do the visits, then we're okay. Like, it might be that even if the books get delayed shipping-wise, we know that they'll get there, maybe the week after I leave or 2 weeks after I leave or whatever. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, that's really good information. I mean, I'm thinking for Sayusa it would be 500 for our
elementary
500 elementary kids.
Yeah, so I would just add that on to the 1,600 that Bethel was talking about. You know what I mean? And so the final total that I give to my printer in China would be the sum total that I need. And if you guys want, I can even pay out of pocket up front, so that we don't have to collect whatever. If you guys can pay up front, that would help with printing, definitely. But yeah. All right. I don't want to keep you guys longer than you're supposed to be on. Like I said, I can keep talking about this stuff forever.
No, thank you so much. I think where we're at is that we will reconvene on the 19th. I will send this video. I always send out PLC notes right when I get off. I'll send them out before I leave the building today. But we'll meet on the 19th. It'll give all of us an idea to let things percolate and see what kind of budgets we may have to purchase books. And then when we meet on the 19th, it sounds like Nicole will have maybe a kind of a calendarized situation figured out where we may be able to start signing up possibly, or tentatively thinking about when we want to sign up for an author visit. Because, of course, I've got to talk to my district people and all the principals and everything, too. Am I missing anything? Anything else that we discussed?
I was just going to put my email and cell phone number in the chat. That way, if Amy, Shanna, Kelly, Honor, anybody else that watches the recording wants to get a hold of me, you have my email and cell. Jen has my cell. You are more than welcome to text me. I'm more easily accessible via text, email second. But yeah, so my information's right there. We good?
All right, one other
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, thank you so much. And then, Amy, I think that we'll hold off on discussing weeded books. Can we hold off until next Friday?
Yeah.
That was a topic that you had mentioned, and then I had another person email me that I think Dennis connected me with, who I don't even remember what the individual's name was.
Melanie? Was it Melanie?
That sounds right. Yeah, and she has zero budget, zero books, and she wants our weeded books.
So for Melanie, in that particular situation, I would be more than happy to just donate, like gift a visit. Like if there is a school that is just cannot do it, but if there are tons of other schools that are on board that can chip in and get books, I will drive out to Melanie's, because Melanie and I have been keeping in touch. I'm trying to just help her out in any way possible. I'll be more than happy. And now don't publicize that, because everybody's going to be like, hey, come to our school. But Melanie and I have kept in touch since the conference, and if there are a ton of schools and books involved and whatnot, I'll be more than happy to just gift the books that Melanie needs, and I'll go present to her school as well. That would bring my heart joy. That's not a big deal. I can gift my time to her. Not a big deal.
Thank you.
All right, well, I do have to
So
pop
nice of
off.
you to join us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I rambled on and on and on.
No,
Thanks for
it's
listening.
No,
awesome.
you're good.
Yeah.
You're passionate about what you
Yes,
do.
I
It's
am.
amazing. So we'll see everybody next
Thanks.
Friday, and then we'll reconvene this conversation on Friday the 19th.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Bye. Thank you.